What is up, guys? This is Gill in Eastbourne around Beachy Head cliffs. As you can see behind me, the tide is out at the moment. Low tide is just before midday. So what I'm going to try and do is get to Birling Gap by walking along the bottom of the Beachy Head cliffs along the beach. Got 6 hours before high tide at just before 6 o'clock this evening, so I should have plenty of time. So hopefully I don't get stranded. Alright, just not quite at the beach yet, but just walking along the South Downs Way is along the top of that ridge there to the Beachy Head cliffs. You can see there's a little football pitch over here. I never got into sport, especially not football, but if I did play football, I think this is where I would want to play it. It's a pretty good spot. You've got the sea right there. Beautiful! Pretty good view of Eastbourne from here. And then out into the beautiful English Channel. And then this is the South Downs. It's not bad, is it? Alright, just walking down the steps to the beach now. Towards the beach. Last time I was here, I met this old guy, probably about at least 80, probably older, and it had been raining quite hard. And all of this was super slippery. And he was trying to get up the steps, and he was wearing like proper old man loafers. So I had to help him up the steps. Probably saved his life, not bragging, but he's alive because of me. Alright, just coming down the steps. There's a good viewpoint here, which I'll show you. Pretty gorgeous. Tide's still going out, so it's got a little way to go. I forgot to put my watch on today, so I don't know what time it is. I have to look on my phone. But they say low tide is about midday, so I've got a while. I'm walking along the beach in a that-away direction. I think the walk around to Birling Gap is about 2 hours, maybe 3, I'm not sure. I've not really done much planning for this, probably should have done, but we'll leave being prepared for the scouts and just go for it and see what happens. Worst comes to worst, I can swim. Seeing this sign, just about to go right down to the beach now, but on this sign, Birling Gap, 3 hours, check tide tables, which I have done. And I've got 6 hours at least, so we're all good. Heading down these steps to the beach. On the beach now. You can see pretty low water. At the moment I'm still above the tide line, which is all good. But I don't need to worry about the tide, I think I'm fine. It's pretty sheltered down here, so there's no wind, so it's really, really warm. So it might be a bit grim later on, but I'm sure it'll be alright. Onwards! Just can see Beachy Head lighthouse just behind me there. So these are the Beachy Head cliffs. So continuing walking around that way. Low tide is in about 45 minutes. So I've got loads of time. There's a guy swimming over there. It's pretty brave. It's warm today, but it's still May, so the water's still probably quite cold, but each to their own. So yeah, I think I might stop and take some photos and then carry on. Just taking some photos of the lighthouse and the cliffs. Pretty good spot. The waves almost touching my tripod. Almost. For those camera nerds, I'm just using a really long exposure with an ND filter. It's a standard 18-55 lens. I've not got a fancy wide angle or anything. Just working with what I've got. So hopefully I get Decent shot. The light's not great because it's almost midday, so it's a bit harsh. But hopefully the ND filter should help with that a little bit. But yeah, going to take some photos and then head on around the headland. I'm going to spread some knowledge with you guys. I actually only learnt this the other day. I don't know if you can see, yeah, this mark here. You can see that's made by a limpet. One of these guys. When they're underwater, they pop up and they move around and feed on little things, algae and stuff living on the rock. But what I learned the other day is that they always come back to the same spot, exactly the same spot, because they wear away the rock. So they get a little groove and then they can pop their shell down and form a watertight, airtight seal. So that's what these little marks are. They're made by limpets. Fact. Quite tricky walking on here. Especially in these just normal like skate shoes, having to hop over all these little rock pools. Oh bugger, I'm soaked. Oh, made it. I could walk up on the stones up there, but where's the fun in that? Plus it's all chalk cliffs, it's quite soft, quite loose. And I don't want to get crushed by any of that. You can see all the boulders along the beach where it's fallen. So it's fairly risky walking along the bottom. And way more exciting to hop over all these rock pools. Where I've come from was walking along the nice sandy beach, hopping over little rock pools and stuff. But suddenly it's become this giant field of death boulders. They're super spiky as well, all worn away. It's pretty cool. So instead of walking along that and probably slipping, falling, breaking me or my camera, I'm going to go up underneath the cliffs and walk along the stones at the top. It's weird how this sort of suddenly starts. This side is beach, sandy beach, all lovely. Then suddenly, death boulders. Almost at the lighthouse. I'm gonna go around the headland. You can see how big the cliffs are here. Beachy Head. I think it's about 350 feet or something. You probably know Beachy Head because it's quite famous. Quite popular with base jumpers. Unfortunately, it's the kind of base jumpers who don't use parachutes. In fact, I was here the other day on a walk with my mum, which was very nice. There was loads of commotion at the top of the cliffs. There was a big lifeboat out and a rib. People on the lighthouse with binoculars. It turns out someone had full-on Thelma and Louised it and driven a car off the cliffs. That's what we saw in the news. So hopefully, as I'm walking along the bottom of the cliffs, nobody lands on me. Talking about the guy or person who drove off the cliffs the other day, and literally 5 seconds after talking about that, I have come across this old engine. This is obviously not the same one because it's been here a while. It's well rusty and corroded, but there's only one place this very heavy metal engine could have come from, and that is up there. There's some seagulls over here, and they were just having quite a vocal argument over something. all these snails. There's so many of them. Just waiting for the tide to come back, I guess. They're everywhere. Okay guys, I'm just by Beachy Head Lighthouse now. Just stopped to take some photos. Found a good spot where I could see the cliffs, the lighthouse, and get the reflection of the lighthouse in this little puddle here, which is quite cool. So yeah, I'll stop taking I'll stop and take some photos, and then carry on around the cliffs that way. Okay, so just passing the lighthouse now. It's just gone midday, so that means the tide should have turned, and we'll now start heading back in. High tide in 6 hours. I think I've still got another hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to walk before I get to Birling Gap, so it should be alright. The tide line is still just below me, but I think further round, high tide, the water goes right up to the cliffs. Hard work walking along these stones though. And it's really hot. There's a nice breeze coming in off the sea now, which is nice. But yeah, keep going. There's a lighthouse. How majestic. So, you know I said earlier, someone drove a car off a cliff the other day, off Beachy Head. Yeah, I think I just found the car. Shit. It's come from all the way up there. Pretty gnarly. It's kind of ridiculous how tall these cliffs are when you're standing at the bottom of them. I think it's about 350 foot or something. They're used on TV a lot as the White Cliffs of Dover for some reason. I don't know why they don't use the actual White Cliffs of Dover, but a lot of the time when you see the White Cliffs of Dover on TV, it's actually these cliffs, Beachy Head. Fact. I just full on stood in a rock pool. So now I've got a very wet foot. It's alright though, because it's really warm down here. All these boulders are radiating quite a lot of heat, and the sun is warm obviously. So it's actually quite refreshing to have a damp foot. Look at the size of some of these boulders that have come off a cliff though, it's pretty mad. Bigger than me. Whoa. Out by the bottom of the cliffs now. It's really cool, you can see really clearly the bands of flint in the chalk cliffs that run all the way along it. And they're every so often all the way up to the top. Geology rocks. So what I really like about this is, as far as the eye can see, can't see anything that humans have made or altered. It's all natural, apart from there is one guy on a sup way over there somewhere. Apart from that, it's all nature. Marvellous. Apart from me, obviously. Okay, I think I'm almost at Birling Gap now. I can see some more people up there. but I'll keep going around, see how far I've got. Guys, I made it to Birling Gap. See the steps up to the cliffs over there. Right over there behind me, sort of here, is the mouth of the River Cuckmere, Seven Sisters Country Park. I think it's about 3 miles away from there, so I'm not going to walk there. I'm going to go up the steps and then walk back along over the top of the cliffs, back towards, past Beachy Head, back towards Eastbourne. But first I'm going to stop and take some photos of the cliffs here. Alright, so I just finished taking a few photos. The tide's coming in pretty quick now. When I started taking photos my tripod was dry, and then when I finished the weaves were coming over the bottoms of the legs of the tripod. So I'm going to head up the steps at Birling Gap and then walk along the cliffs back to Eastbourne. Just left Birling Gap, walking along the top of the cliffs now. It's super warm now. There's no wind up here. But it's pretty beautiful. It's like walking across a Windows desktop. Lovely. Alright, just coming up to Bell 2 Lighthouse, which is up there. That's the edge of the cliffs. And that's the Seven Sisters. Birling Gap is in the first dip here, and then along here is Seven Sisters Country Park. Walking up the hill towards Bell 2. I just got to Bell 2. You can see Beachy Head Lighthouse right over there. Right at the edge of the cliffs. It's a pretty good view from up here over the South Downs. And someone's written on the floor, "Happy life." How cute. I'm walking down this path here and then up along the top of the cliffs. A really good view of the lighthouse from up here. So I think actually this is probably where that car went off, somewhere up here. I'm going to keep going around. Past the lighthouse. So this is the Beachy Head cliff. You can see really clearly those flint bands. Pretty cool. Alright, just having a cheeky little sit down on a bench with a good view. In that little dip down here is where that football pitch is. I walked past this morning. I'm not going to go down because I have to come back up again, so I'm just going to go around the top of it and then back down into the pool. So I'm almost back at Eastbourne now. It's just down there. So I'm going to sign off. Thanks for watching.